You just got a message from someone you don't respect. Maybe it's a business rival. Maybe it's someone you think is below you. You read it, you roll your eyes, and you leave it on read. No big deal, right? Just a small act of arrogance. But history has a habit of turning those moments into catastrophes. In 1218, the most powerful sultan in the Islamic world received an offer from a Mongol warlord, a trade caravan, 450 merchants, silks and furs, and a message of peaceful commerce. The Sultan of Khwarezm, Ala ad-Din Muhammad II, ruler of an empire stretching from the Caspian Sea to the Hindu Kush, looked at this offer and decided Genghis Khan wasn't worth taking seriously. That one decision triggered a chain of events so devastating that entire cities ceased to exist. Not just defeated, not just occupied, erased. Completely erased, from the map, from memory, from history itself. Before we go any further, we need to understand why he did it. Because the Sultan was not a fool. He was not careless. He was drunk on something far more dangerous than wine. He was drunk on power. Neuroscientist Ian Robertson's research in the winner effect shows power rewires the brain by flooding it with dopamine, boosting confidence, and reducing threat perception. This process, observed in leaders from business to politics, leads to less empathy, riskier choices, and a dangerous blindness to signals, especially when power goes unchecked. The Sultan had just expanded his empire to its greatest ever size. He'd stopped the Abbasid Caliph of Baghdad in his tracks. He called himself the Second Alexander the Great. His army numbered 400,000 men. His brain, saturated with the chemistry of unchallenged dominance, could not process the possibility that this Mongol nomad was a genuine threat. So when Inalchuk, the governor of the border city of Otrar, and the Sultan's own uncle, had all 450 merchants from Genghis Khan's trade caravan seized, accused of spying, and executed, the Sultan endorsed it. Then Genghis sent 3 ambassadors. One final diplomatic offer. Peace or war, choose. The Sultan had the lead ambassador beheaded. He shaved the other two's beards and sent them back. In 13th century Mongol culture, shaving a man's beard was among the deepest insults imaginable. It was the kind of insult you only give someone you believe can never touch you. The Sultan had just slapped the most dangerous man alive across the face. What came next wasn't a war. They started at Otrar, the city where the merchants had been killed. It was obliterated. Then came Bokhara, one of the great intellectual centers of the Islamic world. Mongols swept through it in days. Then Samarkand, a city of legendary beauty and learning, with markets, gardens, and a population that Persian travelers called the closest thing to paradise on earth. Gone. Then Merv. At the time of the invasion, Merv was described as the queen of cities, possibly the largest city in the world, home to 10 libraries containing an estimated 150,000 manuscripts. Persian chronicler Javani recorded that after the Mongols' disaster, a clerk spent 13 days counting the dead. His total, over 1,300,000. Modern historians regard that specific number as exaggerated, but they do not dispute that what happened at Merv was one of the most catastrophic massacres in human history. Then came Gurganj, the Khwarezmian capital. The Mongols, after months of brutal siege, did something unprecedented. They destroyed the dam controlling the Amu Darya River and flooded the entire city. A metropolis that had stood for centuries, with palaces and bazaars and centuries of accumulated human knowledge swallowed by water and mud. Governor Inalchuk, the man whose greed ignited everything, Governor Inalchuk was captured after a 5-month siege. He threw roof tiles at the Mongols from the top of his citadel until his last guards fell, when they finally took him alive. According to Persian chronicles including Javani's account, molten silver was poured into his eyes and ears, so that the man who had been blinded by greed would die by it. And then the Mongols did something that still disturbs historians 8 centuries later. They didn't just destroy cities. They killed scholars specifically. They burned the libraries. They plowed the ruins so flat that future generations wouldn't even find the foundations. They choked off irrigation systems that had fed millions for 1,000 years, turning lush, fertile farmland into a dead desert that has still not recovered today. This wasn't rage. This was a cold, calculated strategy. Genghis Khan knew that a sword could only kill the body, never the spirit. If you slaughter a people, their descendants will eventually rise again from the ashes. But if you strip away their past, if you burn their knowledge and erase their identity, you bury them alive in a grave of absolute nothingness, a dark void from which no civilization can ever resurrect. You think this is just a history lesson? That silence of Samarkand is still alive today. It isn't just a bygone era, it is a psychological mechanism, running inside your brain at this very moment. When a person's brain is running on the dopamine of their own minor success, they become blindly vulnerable in the most dangerous way. Your empire might not be built with swords and fortresses. Your career, your reputation, your business, this is your Khwarezm. The Sultan never thought he was being arrogant. He thought he was being decisive, projecting strength, maintaining authority. Neuroscientists call this hubris syndrome, the medical term for losing your mind to your own ego. When success blinds you, reality doesn't just hand you a failure. And that is exactly how the Sultan broke. He ran from city to city, forced to watch as the Mongols systematically dismantled and dated everything he had ever built. Some mistakes don't just cost you, they erase everything you were ever building.